That last year there were more people employed in this state than ever before in our history. Not 20, not 40, not 100 years, ever. There's never been more people employed in the state than there were this last year. Unemployment itself is down to a 16-year low. The last time it was this low was January of 2001, so that's pretty far back. It means when unemployment goes down, that's because just more people are working, which is a really good sign. And because of that, more people are being hired, the economy's growing, businesses are growing, wages are going up. That means the state government and local governments are getting more money, more revenues, even though tax rates have actually gone down during that time, just by virtue of greater prosperity. That's a part of the reform dividend. And so like a good business, that you earn a dividend. You don't just get a bonus, it's unexpected, it's something that you work for and you earn. We're going to reinvest that in some of our top priorities. Obviously, part of the reason why we're here today is that education is a key part of those top priorities, because not a week goes by, sometimes not even a day goes by, where I don't hear from employers who say to me, I got jobs, I just don't have enough people to fill them. I hear it all the time, and it's not just in one area or the other. It's certainly in key areas like manufacturing, but I hear it in transportation, in information technology and computer science. I hear it in healthcare. I hear it in finance and accounting. I hear it in all different types of professions out there. And as the superintendent and principal know here, it's in education here, across the state and across the country. So there are key areas of high demand in this state. And so for us, really part of meeting that demand is saying we've got to put a renewed focus and attention on building the workforce, not just for today or tomorrow, but for years to come. So top of the list, education. Because of the reform dividend and the fact that we want to ensure that every student matters in this state, I'm pleased to report to all of you that we're putting more money into this budget for K through 12 education than ever before. $11.5 billion, that's the highest amount the state's ever invested in its history into K through 12 education, because we know that particularly now, because of some of the reforms we put in place, even more of that money, even more of that those new resources are going to go into the classroom to help our students, not just today, but for the foreseeable future. We know with all the other things that are happening, some that have already started, the funding in the past that was put in for academic and career plans starting as early as 6th grade, or some of the new funding in this budget, beyond just per-pupil funding, but to help double the number of Fab Labs, to do more to help with early college credit, to do more to help open the eyes and inspire students to all the different career choices out there. Those are things that will help us, not just today, but will help us for the foreseeable future, and will send a strong message not only to our students and your families, but also to our employers that we'd like to see grow here, as well as others we might like to attract here, that we are committed to making sure we've got a well-educated, well-prepared potential workforce for many years, if not generations to come. For key areas which require associate degrees, education through our technical colleges, so we're putting more in there. A few years ago, we invested in what we call the Blueprint for Prosperity, and that helped add about 5,000 more spots being opened in our technical colleges. Again, high demand areas, great opportunities. We've got a lot of careers that require an associate degree, and people can go right into the workforce. And with some of our early college credit programs across the state, many of our students can get a head start even on that and pick up enough credits to take on a semester, maybe in as much as a year's head start, not only in our technical colleges, but also our University of Wisconsin system. Speaking of that, we've put over $100 million of new money into our UW system in this budget, above and beyond what they've got this past year, but we tie it to performance. Our technical colleges have had a performance system before. With the UW, we said we're going to put more in, but we want to make sure it goes into areas where it's greatly needed in this state. And so it's not just enrollment they're keeping track of now. To get new funding, part of the performance standards are how many graduates, how many graduate in a reasonable time frame, how many graduate in areas of high demand that are needed in this state, and how many get employed. And if you go into UW, it might be nice to know, am I going to get a job after this and hopefully a career? And is there going to be a position that's needed here in the state of Wisconsin? Our hope is that by investing in the University of Wisconsin system more resources, we not only get more people with higher education degrees, but then those are people who can be employed in areas of high demand and help us grow the economy here in the state of Wisconsin. This budget includes sizable reductions in both property and income taxes. In fact, when it comes to property taxes in this state and income taxes both, they'll be lower in 2018 for a typical taxpayer than they were in 2010 before we started. That fulfills a commitment I made along the way as a candidate. And in particular, when it comes to your property taxes, we actually do something unusual. We eliminate a tax. If you ever noticed on the property tax bill each year, there's a line that says the state on it. People sometimes scratch their head and say, what is that for? Well, we eliminate that entirely. So for the first time since 1931, there will be no state tax on your property tax bill. That's gone completely. In total, with the tax relief we include in this budget, over 8 years, because the end of this budget will be 8 years I've been honored to serve as your governor, the total tax relief will exceed $8 billion. So that's taxes on income, that's taxes on property, that's portions of sales tax going down, that's reduced taxes on farmers and manufacturers. In total, the cumulative impact of all that is over $8 billion. The other big areas we invest in are infrastructure. And we heard time and time again from all over the state about the need to have access to high-speed internet connections via broadband. And that's an issue that's important in our schools, but it's important in our communities as a whole. And so this budget puts $52 million in to help expand the amount of broadband access grants so that every part of the state over the next 2 years can be covered. The other part of infrastructure, I should say, is transportation. We will have put, through the end of this budget, over 8 years, $24 billion into transportation. Over 8 years, that's about $3 billion more than my predecessor, Governor Doyle, did during the same time period. He was in for 8 years. This will have been 8 years. We'll put about $3 billion more into transportation. In this budget, though, in particular, we finished the work on the zoo interchange in Milwaukee and then don't take on any new projects in Milwaukee. Instead, we redistribute that money around the rest of the state so that local and county governments will get more money for bridge and road repairs than they've got in anywhere from 15 to 20 years, the highest amount ever. And state highway rehab will be the largest amount ever. So we're going to fix the roads and the bridges and the potholes we have in the state as opposed to take on big new projects